So we'll start with the lips. First, let's understand some basic terminologies which are related to the lips, okay, and then we'll go to the microscopic structure. And these things will not be discussed in theory lecture also, okay. Whatever important we'll discuss now only. So lips are the musculofibrous folds, okay, musculofibrous folds that surrounding the opening of the mouth. Musculofibrous fold surrounding the opening of the mouth. Now we know that two lips are there, upper lip and lower lip. Both the lips join together, okay. Now where they are joining together, this is called the angle of the mouth, okay. So see, they meet laterally at the angle of the mouth, usually in front of the first premolar tooth. Now if you see the lip, these are lined externally by skin and internally by mucous membrane. So externally you can see it is lined by skin, where hair follicles, okay, then sebaceous glands, sweat gland, everything is present. That part of the lip is lined by skin externally. Internally, the pink part which you can see, where girls used to apply lipstick, okay, I am talking about that part. Now that particular part is lined by mucous membrane, okay, and in between these two zone, okay, in between these two zone, a demarcation is there, okay, that is called mucocutaneous junction. That means the skin and the mucous membrane जहाँ पे join होता है, okay, that junction is called as mucocutaneous junction, okay, or also called as the Vermilion zone. Now the mucocutaneous junction lies the edge of the lip, okay, only a part of the mucosal surface is normally seen. Now the question is, जो part skin से covered है, okay, that is the normal color of the skin. The part which is not covered by skin, okay, that appears pink or that appears red. Why? Because of the presence of rich blood supply in that particular area, okay. So as you can see, Vermilion zone, the red portion, the pink color part or the red color part which you can see, that is the Vermilion zone, okay. Now that particular part, why the color is different? Because due to rich vascular bed visible through the thin moist epithelium, okay. Now the skin and the Vermilion zone meet at a border that is called as Vermilion border. तो जो lip होता है, first of all you have to know that it is covered by skin externally and internally it is covered by mucous membrane. दोनों के बीच में जो junction होता है, that is called mucocutaneous junction, okay. Now the part of the skin, the part of the lip which is covered by skin, that is having normal skin color, sweat gland, sebaceous gland, hair follicles, everything is normal like a skin. But जो part है which is covered by mucous membrane, that color is either pink or red. Why? Because of the presence of rich vascular bed visible through the moist epithelium, okay. Now that particular area is also called as the Vermilion zone. Next, if you see each lip, means both the lip, upper lip plus lower lip, these are the following layers which are present. First of all, skin, as you can see, okay. After the superficial fascia रहता है, then a muscle is also there, okay. So main thickness of the lip is made up of muscle. Which muscle is present? Orbicularis, oris, okay. Next, submucosa containing mucosal labial glands and blood vessels. Submucosa में क्या रहता है? Glands रहता है as well as blood vessels are there. Now last week we have discussed about the salivary glands. At that time, I hope you remember, I have mentioned about the major salivary glands and minor salivary glands, right? So in minor salivary glands, I have shown you the list. In that I have mentioned about labial glands. So these are the labial glands which are present in the lips, okay? And lastly the mucous membrane. Now this is the diagram. This diagram will help you to understand the parts of the lip. So as you can see, this is the upper lip and this is the lower lip, okay? Now ये जो particular part है ऊपर lip का, as you can see, this is lined by skin. Here also you can see this is lined by skin. Now between the skin and this mucus part, okay, this particular part is lined by mucous membrane. दोनों के बीच में ये जो junction, it is called as Vermilion border or mucocutaneous junction. See, this particular part is lined by mucous membrane, ठीक है. This particular part is lined by skin. दोनों के बीच में जो ये area है, what is this? This is the Vermilion border or mucocutaneous junction, okay. Now above that normal skin is present, where all the features of the skin will be present in both the lips. Now ये जो particular area है, this particular area of the lip, okay, is lined by mucous membrane. Okay, I hope you can see the color. It is red. Why it is red? Because deep to the lining epithelium, vascular bed is present. Vascular bed. That's why the color is like this. Okay. Next, there are some other parts also. As you can see, both the lips, as you can see, they are joining at the angle of the mouth. Now this gap is also called as the oral commissure. That day in the lecture I have mentioned about the palpable fissure between the space between both the eyelids. Okay. Now here you can see the oral commissure. Okay. Next, other parts are also there. For example, if you see the upper lip, at the center of the upper lip, a V-shaped sulcus is there. A V-shaped depressed area is there. As you can see. Okay. This is called as Cupid's bow. Okay, and on the either side of the Cupid's bow, you can see a ridge is there. That is called filtrum, filtral column, and the central depressed part is called as the filtrum. Okay. Now, what are those structures? Why they are present? That also we have to discuss. Now, as I said, lips bound the oral fissure. Okay, these oral fissures are bounded by the lips. Now laterally they meet, where they are meeting at angle of the mouth. ये lip, दोनों lip कहाँ पे meet हो रहा है? Angle of the mouth. Now if you see the internal aspect of the each lip, it is connected to the corresponding gum or gingiva by a median fold, that is called the frenulum of the lip, which is nothing but a mucous membrane. Okay. So if you lift the lip, upper lip like this or lower lip like this, you can see it is connected to the gingiva or gum. Okay, by a mucous membrane, then this is called as the frenulum of the lip. समझ में आया? ये देखो, ये frenulum, this is the frenulum. You can also check in front of the mirror. If you do like this, you can see the frenulum of the lip. Okay, दोनों lip में रहता है, upper lip में भी रहता है, lower lip में भी रहता है. Next, the filtrum. So I have shown you the filtrum. It is a median vertical groove on the upper surface of the upper lip. Okay. Now the filtral ridges, so both the side we can see filtral ridges are there, okay, are formed by unique collection of dermal collagen and dense elastic tissue. Dermal collagen fibers and dense elastic tissue are deposited, that's why we are getting the filtral ridges. Okay. The next, so this is the overall structure. Next is the microscopic structure. Okay, so lips are the fleshy folds which on the external surface is lined by skin. Externally it is lined by skin, and on internal surface it is lined by mucous membrane. Okay. Now the substance of the lip, both upper and lower, predominantly these are muscular in nature. That means it is made up of muscle. कौन सा muscle रहता है? Orbicularis oris. Okay, orbicularis oris. Now the upper and lower lips close along the red margin, that is called as mucocutaneous junction, which I have shown you just now. Okay. Now there is a transitional zone between the skin and the mucous membrane, that is called as the Vermilion. Okay. Now in case of a fair person, you can see it is pink or red in color. In person to person, this varies. Okay, depending on the color of the skin. Next, the part meets the skin along a distinct edge. The external surface of the lip is lined by true skin. Okay, ये वाला जो part है, this is lined by true skin. Now in true skin, you can see all the features of the skin. For example, hair follicle, sebaceous gland, all those things can be seen. Okay. Now the mucous membrane is lined by stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. This is the lining epithelium of the mucous membrane. Okay. So mucous membrane means which part? This one, that pink color area or the red color area. Okay, that is the mucous membrane. Now that is lined by stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. Now you will see one thing in case of lip. ठीक है, जो lining epithelium है दो type का होता है. Because the lining epithelium which is present on the skin and on the mucous membrane ये अलग होता है. Okay. Now in case of mucous membrane it is stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium, but here it is stratified squamous keratinized epithelium because it is the skin. Okay. And in the section, when a longitudinal section is taken of the lip, both the epithelium are seen. Now the lining epithelium is much thicker than that of the skin. Okay. Now the epithelium which are present has well marked finger like projection, that is called Reti ridge system. Okay, same like the dermal papilla which is present in the skin, or the papilla which you have studied in case of esophagus. Okay, that extend into the underlying connective tissue and will anchor the epithelium to the underlying connective tissue. Okay, ऐसे anchor करके रखेगा. Finger like projections are there, and this particular finger like projections are called as Reti ridge system. Next, beneath the epithelium, the mucosa has a layer of connective tissue. Okay, so just below the lining epithelium, a layer of connective tissue is there. Okay, along with that, deeper layer of loose connective tissue is also present. So beneath the epithelium, the mucosa has a layer of connective tissue. Okay, corresponding to the dermis, a deep layer of loose connective tissue is present. इसका मतलब क्या है? दोनों साइड में. That means the area which is where skin is present and the area where mucous membrane is present, दोनों के नीचे, deep to that, you are getting the loose connective tissue. Now the loose connective tissue which is adjacent to the mucous membrane, okay, in that we are getting mucous glands and sebaceous glands. Okay, but in this case it is not associated with the hair follicles, and their secretions prevent the dryness and cracking of the exposed part of the mucosa. Okay, so this particular part is exposed. Okay, generally क्या होता है, if you see the mucosa, जैसे oral mucosa हो गया या तो stomach का mucosa हो गया, it is not exposed, but the exposure of the lip, ये जो part है, this is exposed to the exterior. Okay, if it is exposed to the exterior, it can become dry, cracking may be there. In order to prevent that, क्या रहता है, you can see mucus and sebaceous glands are there, deep to the connective tissue of the mucous part, this particular part. Okay. Now here you can see the histology of lip. As I said, this is not that difficult, पूरा एकदम simple है. Now here you have to understand one thing. दोनों side में, okay, you can see two sides are there where two different epithelium is there. Okay. So here you can see stratified squamous keratinized epithelium. Here is non-keratinized epithelium. Okay. Now in the non-keratinized side, as I said, Reti ridge system is there. I hope you can see these projections. Can you see the projections? See, these are the projections which are going into the connective tissue and holding the lining epithelium. Okay, because so many times whenever you are drinking something, whenever you are applying something, friction is also there. So due to that friction, there may be damage to the lining epithelium. Okay, or lining epithelium may be separated. That's why these holdings are there. Okay, this is called Reti ridge system, finger-like projections. Okay, so this, can anyone tell me which side is this and which side is this? Yes, yes, yes. So this is the mucous part, मतलब ये जो red color का part है, and this is the area which is covered by skin. Okay. Now, how you will understand? First of all, lining epithelium will be different. Here you can see non-keratinized epithelium. Here you can see keratinized epithelium. Another important point which you have to notice is, can you see this one? ये क्या है? Any idea? No. Hair follicle. Okay, because this side normal skin होने से hair follicles रहेगा. So this is for the hair follicle. Hair attached रहता है. Okay, till now we have not discussed, means I have not explained you about the histology of skin. When we will discuss about the histology of skin, at that time we will discuss about the hair follicle also, and we will be discussing about hair also, microscopic structure of hair. Okay. So now next, here you can see deep to the lining epithelium, this loose connective tissue is there, both the side, दोनों side में है, ठीक है. Now deep to that you can see the glands are present, mucous glands are also there. Okay, you can see mucous glands are present over here, sebaceous glands are present. Okay, and then on the center, the main mass of both the lips are made up of, you can see the skeletal muscle, that is the orbicularis oris. Okay, so it's a very easy diagram to identify. Just what you have to see, and see, this is the mucocutaneous junction. ये वाला, this is the mucocutaneous junction. So you have to identify both the epithelium of both sides okay, and then you have to identify lining this one hair follicle is present on which side, then easily you can say which part is this cutaneous mucous part and the area which is covered by skin. Okay, so this is the longitudinal section. Okay, so this is the longitudinal section of lip. Now can anyone tell me which side is mucous part and which part is lined by skin? This part is lined by? Yes, this part is lined by mucous membrane, that is the stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. Okay, and this part is lined by skin. Okay, why you can say? Yes, can you? I hope you can see the hair follicle. Okay, and you can see this Reti ridge system, Reti ridge, this pattern. This is not present generally in this particular area. Here, very clearly you can see. Okay, and other structures you can see as usual. Okay. So that is about the lip. Next we'll discuss about the tongue. Now listen, tongue is a important topic, okay, not for histo, for gross, okay. Tongue se question aata hi aata hai, so please take it seriously. Tongue is important for gross and it is important for embryo also. For these two part, tongue is very important, okay, because why it is important in case of gross, when you will study the parts of the tongue, okay, mainly the dorsum of the tongue, when you are opening your mouth, the tongue which you can see, okay, that is the dorsum of the tongue. Dorsum of the tongue का 3 पार्ट रहता है, तीनों पार्ट का जो embryology होता है, means the source of development is different and along with that nerve supply is also different. Okay, so nerve supply different means the sensory nerve supply is different, okay, taste sensation is also different. That's why it is very important and questions are generally asked from this particular area. Okay, and along with that the muscles, skeletal muscles. Can anyone tell me how many muscles will be there in the tongue? Any idea? Guess karo. 2 groups of muscles are there in the tongue. Okay, in each group 4 muscles are there. Total 8 muscles are present in the tongue. Just imagine. Okay, so whenever you are talking, whenever you are swallowing, okay, for that those muscles are functioning. Those are also called as intrinsic and extrinsic muscles of the tongue. 8 muscles are there. Okay, so for that, so for those 8 muscles you have to know the origin insertion, because all these are skeletal muscles. And after that, though these are skeletal muscle, that means you have to know about the nerve supply. That's why tongue is very important. Okay, so today I will just give you the overview of the tongue, then we will go to the histology of the tongue, but details will be discussed in the lecture hall about the tongue. Okay, dissection में tongue का कुछ रहता नहीं है generally. Okay, so in dissection you can't expect to see much detail about the tongue, but in theoretically we will discuss in detail about the tongue. Okay, and along with that applied importance also. So tongue is a muscular organ situated in the floor of the mouth. Now it is associated with some important functions, for example taste, speech, chewing and deglutition. Along with that it also helps in cleansing the mouth. What is deglutition? हाँ बोलो बोलो. हाँ, swallowing. Okay. Now here from now onwards we don't call it as swallowing, we call it as deglutition. ठीक है, swallowing layman term. Medical term is deglutition. 3 stages are there of the deglutition. Whenever you are eating anything, okay, you don't think too much, just chew the food, okay, but itna easy nahi hai. 3 stages are there of the deglutition. In order to understand those 3 stages, it will take lot of time, okay, and lot of processes are going on one after another, and proper neuromuscular coordinations are also required in order to have a safe deglutition. Okay, so deglutition process is not that simple, but when we will discuss the tongue and especially the pharynx, at that time you have to study about the deglutition. Okay, so these are some important functions where the tongue is applying an important role. Now if you see the tongue, first of all it is having a root, that is the attached part, okay. After that a tip part, this is the tip of the tongue, okay, this is the tip of the tongue, okay, and the body of the tongue. The body of the tongue is situated between the tip and the root. Root दिखाई नहीं देता, you can't see the root, okay, it is attached posterior part. So in between that the body of the tongue is there. Now the body of the tongue is having two surfaces, okay. The surface which you can see just opening of the mouth, this one, this is called as the dorsum of the tongue. This is called as the dorsum of the tongue, okay. Now another surface is there, it is called the inferior surface, this one, okay. When you will open your mouth and if you elevate the tongue, this is the inferior surface of the tongue, okay. So you have to know what is present in the dorsum of the tongue and you have to know what is present in the inferior surface of the tongue, okay. And this inferior surface of the tongue is confined to the oral part only. Now here you can see two images. So can you tell me which is the dorsum of the tongue? This is the dorsum of the tongue, okay, and this is the inferior surface of the tongue. So what is present in the inferior surface of the tongue? Generally inferior surface of the tongue is smooth in nature, okay. If you see the inferior surface, if you lift, you can see a median mucosal fold, that is called the frenulum of the tongue. Now that frenulum of the tongue is attached to the floor of the oral cavity, which fixes the tongue, okay, helps in various movement. Next if you go laterally from this frenulum, ये देखो frenulum एकदम middle में रहता है. If you go laterally on both the side, then you will be getting deep lingual vein, okay, ये दिखाई देता है. Stand in front of a mirror, ऐसे करके tongue को elevate करो, okay, under a light you can see the deep lingual vein on either side, okay. If you go more laterally, another mucosal fold can be seen, that is called as plica fimbriata, that can also be seen on the inferior surface of the tongue, okay. Next if you come to the dorsum of the tongue or the dorsal surface of the tongue, then it is not smooth, it is rough in nature. Now can anyone tell me why it is rough in nature? Taste bud? No, not because of taste bud. Any idea why it is rough in nature? This part, I am talking about this part, it is rough in nature, okay. बोलो 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 কোনো অসুবিধা নেই যা মনে আসছে বলো आई विल गिव एन एग्जाम्पल हाँ कभी नहीं भूलोगे तुम लोग सबको तो आइसक्रीम अच्छा लगता है आइसक्रीम सबको अच्छा लगता है आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट उसको क्या बोलता है जो ऐसे शेप में रहता है कॉर्नेटो हाँ वो तो सबको अच्छा लगता है अलग अलग फ्लेवर वो कैसे खाते हैं तुम लोग हाउ यूज टू ईट द आइसक्रीम यू डोंट च्यू द आइसक्रीम कैसे खाते हैं यू लिक द आइसक्रीम तो अगर ये स्मूथ हुआ हाउ यू लिक द आइसक्रीम रफ होना होगा ना देन ओनली यू कैन लिक द आइसक्रीम ओके तो मेनली फॉर द लिकिंग पर्पस इट इज़ रफ दैट इज़ द पर्पस बट वाई इट इज़ रफ दैट इज़ नॉट फॉर द licking purpose that is because of the presence of papilla okay that's why it is rough okay now please keep that in mind ye jo dorsum of the tongue hai okay dorsum of the tongue is divided into three parts anterior to this is the anterior two third of the tongue this is the posterior one third of the tongue and the posterior most part of the tongue theek hai in between the anterior two third and posterior one third you can see a V shaped sulcus is there it is called sulcus terminalis ye dekho faint okay very faint V shaped sulcus is this is called sulcus terminalis sulcus का जो mid point होता है दोनों limbs का जो mid point होता है there a pit or depression is present it is called as foramen cecum during intrauterine life a duct is passing through this particular area that's why foramen is present intrauterine life after birth that duct regresses that's why a pit or depression is there okay and the duct which is passing that is called as thyroglossal duct you will study this in embryology okay so this particular area is anterior two third of the tongue ठीक है now just now you have mentioned about the taste bud तो जितना भी taste bud होता है ये anterior two third में ही होता है tongue का okay and in this particular part of the tongue as I said why it is rough because of the presence of papilla. Okay, different types of papillae are present in the tongue. As you can see, circumvallate papillae are there, foliate papillae are there, filiform papillae, fungiform papillae. Okay, these are the different types of papillae. Because of this projection, okay, the rough appearance is present in the anterior 2/3 of the tongue. Next, if you go to the posterior 1/3 of the tongue, ये जो posterior 1/3 है, this particular part is also rough, but यहाँ पे papillae नहीं रहता है. तो यहाँ पे क्या रहता है? Any idea? Lymphoid follicles रहता है, aggregation of lymphoid follicles, and these are called as lingual tonsil. Okay, as you can see, aggregation of lymphoid follicles are present over here, and these are called as lingual tonsil. That's why this particular part is rough. Okay. Now, I don't know whether you have noticed or not, whenever a person used to vomit, suppose मान लो कुछ खाया, खाने के बाद vomiting हुआ, ठीक है, vomiting होने के बाद when what you used to rinse your mouth, मुंह में पानी लेके कुल्ला करके फेंक देते, okay, so your oral cavity is washed away, but still you can feel the taste. Have you noticed? I don't know whether you have noticed it or not. Why? Because see, whatever you are eating or something is coming into the oral cavity, taste bud are there in the tongue. That's why you are feeling the taste. So once you have rinsed your mouth, you have washed your mouth, so nothing is there in the oral cavity, but still you are feeling the taste. क्यों होता है? सोचो, think about it. Okay, you will get the answer, but think about it. ऐसा भी होता है. I have observed, and these are very common phenomena. Okay, so all those things already we have discussed. So root is the attached part. Okay, so now we will not go in detail. Attached part कहाँ पे attached रहता है? Styloid process and soft palate. ऊपर above superior attachment. And if you see the inferior attachment, it is in the which bone? Mandible and hyoid bone. Mandible and hyoid bone. These are the bones where the attachment root is attached. Okay, how they are attached we will discuss later on in the lecture class, not now. Next, tip of the tongue, as I said, it is free anterior end which rests and lies behind the upper incisor teeth. Okay. Now dorsum of the tongue is convex and it is divided into, see, these three parts: oral part, pharyngeal part, or also called as posterior 1/3, and small posterior most part. Okay. Now here already I have discussed faint V-shaped groove is there, sulcus terminalis, all those things I have shown you in the diagram. Okay. Next, if you see the inferior surface, smooth mucous membrane where median fold is there, that is called frenulum linguae, or also called as the frenulum of the tongue. Okay. And if you go more laterally, then what you will get? You will be getting the vein, deep lingual vein, and more lateral to get that another mucosal fold is there, that is called plica fimbriatum. Okay. Those are macroscopic structure. Okay. Nothing to do with the microscopic structure. Okay. Now from here it is important. Okay, so the mucous membrane consists of layer of connective tissue. Okay, that is lined by stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. Okay, so पूरा oral cavity का lining epithelium inside of the oral cavity, stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. Next, on the dorsum, it is thin and forms the papillae and adherent to the muscles. Now the pharyngeal part, okay, is rich in lymphoid follicles. On the inferior surface, it is thin and smooth, the lining epithelium. Numerous mucous and serous glands are also called as von Ebner gland. The glands which are present in the tongue, okay, these are called as von Ebner gland, present in the connective tissue deep to the epithelium of the tongue. Okay, those glands are also present. Now the mucous glands are most numerous at pharyngeal part in relation to the masses of the lymphoid tissue. Okay. Now the serous glands are present mainly in relation to the circumvallate papillae. So as I said, two different types of glands are present, serous glands and mucous gland. जो mucous gland होता है वो pharyngeal part में ज़्यादा होता है. Next, if you see the serous glands, These serous glands are more in relation to the circumvallate papillae. Circumvallate papillae are very important type of papillae. Why? Because on the walls of the circumvallate papillae, the taste buds are present. Okay, so there is a very important function of the saliva, okay, to get the taste of a particular substance. That I will show you in the taste bud, structure of taste bud. Now the largest gland in the tongue are present in the ventral aspect of the apex. Okay, they contain both serous acini, okay, and are also called as anterior lingual glands of Bladin and Nun. These are the glands, largest glands which are present on the ventral aspect of the tongue. Okay, next papillae of the tongue. Different types of papillae are there. These are the projections from the mucous membrane which gives the anterior two-thirds of the tongue its roughness. Now if you see the papillae, first of all it is made up of lining epithelium and a core of connective tissue. Okay, so the outer part is made up of lining epithelium and core is made up of connective tissue. Okay, some part is keratinized, some part is non-keratinized, the lining epithelium. Different types of papillae are there. The largest one is the circumvallate papillae. Okay, if you see the size, it is approximately 1 to 2 millimeter in diameter and are 8 to 12 in number. Now exactly where they are situated, you can see situated immediately in front of the sulcus terminalis. Okay, ये जो sulcus terminalis है इसके सामने, in front of the sulcus terminalis, these circumvallate papillae are present. Now each papillae is a cylindrical projection surrounded by a circular sulcus. So cylindrical projection होगा and then a sulcus will be there and then there will be another circumvallate papillae. Show you the diagram. Yeah. Can you see the papillae? These are the different types of papillae present in the tongue. Okay. तो papillae का structure कैसे रहता है? First of all, here you can see this is the lining epithelium and the core is made up of connective tissue. Now this is the circumvallate papillae, ठीक है? Which is the largest one. Now you can see this is one circumvallate papillae, this is another circumvallate papillae. In between these two you can see a sulcus is present. Okay. Now in the sulcus, okay, the sulcus where it is present, near to that the wall of the circumvallate papillae, the taste buds are present. ये देखो, these taste buds are present. Now last time I have mentioned that near the circumvallate papillae, which type of glands are more? Serous glands are more. Okay, so whenever we are chewing food, तो ये क्या होता है? Saliva के साथ mix होता है. When it mixes with the saliva, after that the mixed food along with the saliva will come over here. Once it comes into that particular sulcus, then what will happen? This taste bud will get activated. Okay, and then only we get the taste. Once taste is felt, एक बार taste आ गया, after that what will happen? More saliva secretion will be there from the serous gland and it will wash away, so that the next food item, whatever it is coming, the taste can be felt. That is the function of the serous glands which are associated along with the circumvallate papillae. Okay, so after circumvallate papillae, next is the fungiform papillae. So numerous at the tip and the margins of the tongue. Okay, they are scattered over the dorsum of the tongue and they are smaller than circumvallate papillae. If you see the fungiform papillae, these are smaller than circumvallate papillae. Okay, so they are having narrow pedicle and large rounded head. So pedicle is narrow, head is rounded. Okay. Next, you can see filiform and foliate papillae. In case of foliate papillae, they are present at the lateral border in front of the circumvallate papillae, and the shape of the foliate papillae is leaf shaped. Now in case of filiform papillae, they are conical shaped. So each and every type of papillae, उसका location अलग-अलग होता है. The location of those papillae are different, okay, and the shape of the papillae are also different. That only you have to know. Now mostly if you see the taste buds, they are associated with the circumvallate papillae and fungiform papillae. Mainly these are two different papillae. Along with that, the taste buds are present. Okay. Next, in physiology, I hope you have studied about the taste bud. Physiology not yet. तो taste buds are mainly present in relation to the circumflex papillae, fungiform papillae and foliate. Foliate papillae very less taste buds, mainly these two papillae, the taste buds are present. Okay. Now, do you remember just now I have asked one question कि after vomiting why you feel the taste? इसका आंसर यहाँ है. See, taste buds are also present in the soft palate, epiglottis, palatoglossal arches and posterior wall of the oropharynx. So whenever you are washing your oral cavity, you are not washing those places. Okay, so whenever you are vomiting, those vomiters or those particles are still attached to those particular areas. Okay, and very small amount of taste buds are present in those areas also. That's why you feel the taste for certain period of time. Okay. Next, under H&E staining, okay, if you see, these are pale staining oval structure extend through the entire thickness of the epithelium. So these are pale staining. Easily you can understand or you can identify the taste buds. Now taste bud में क्या रहता है? You have to understand the taste bud. First of all, there is a small cavity that opens to the surface through a gustatory pore. Okay, a pore रहेगा. Through that pore, it will enter into the cavity, also called as gustatory cavity. Next, three different types of cells are there inside a taste bud, a particular taste bud. What are three different types of cells? You can see neuroepithelial cells are also called as the sensory cells. Okay. Now these cells are very important. They are elongated cell, extend from the basal lamina of the epithelium to the taste pore. Okay, to the pore to the basal lamina. From the pore to the basal lamina, this is the extent, okay, of the neuroepithelial cell. Now on the apical surface, they are having few microvilli also. Now the basal portion of these cells have synapse with the afferent sensory processes of facial, glossopharyngeal and vagus nerve. Now why these nerve fibers are attached to this? In order to carry the taste. Okay. So these cells are very important. Okay, these neuroepithelial cells. इसका जो basal part है, basal part are synapsing with the afferent sensory process of facial nerve, glossopharyngeal nerve and vagus nerve. That means these are the nerves which will carry the taste from the various part of the tongue. Next, supporting cells are there. Okay, elongated cell extend from the basal lamina same to the pore. They support the receptor cells. Okay, and they will secrete amorphous dense material at the taste pore. And some stem cells are there. If any other cells gets destroyed, this will replace those cells. Now here you can see the diagram. Here you can see the diagram. So what are the three different types of cells you can see? So you can see the sustentic, these gustatory cells, these are nothing but the neuroepithelial cell. ठीक है? ये जो gustatory cells है, these are the neuroepithelial cells. So as you can see, these are extending from the pore. यहाँ पे एक pore रहता है, gustatory pore. Okay? Through that pore, it will enter into the gustatory cavity. यहाँ पे cavity रहता है. Now you can see this particular gustatory cell or neuroepithelial cell. It is extending from the gustatory pore to the basal lamina. Okay? ये जो particular cell है, इसका apical part में क्या रहता है? Microvilli are present. Okay? And the basal part you can see they are having synaptic connection with the facial nerve, glossopharyngeal nerve and vagus nerve. ठीक है? ये जो particular cells है, इसका support में as you can in support to this, you can see sustentacular cells are present. ये देखो sustentacular cells are present. These are also elongated cells. Okay, and deep to these cells, the basal cells are present. Okay, the basal cells का function क्या है? अगर मान लो कोई cell destroy हो गया, then it will be replaced by them. So ये जो sustentacular cells है, it will secrete dense amorphous material. Okay, now that dense amorphous material is present in this gustatory pore. So here you can see the gustatory cavity. So gustatory pore is there, followed by the gustatory cavity. Okay, तो इसमें जो amorphous material है secreted by the supporting cells, those are present over here. Now the question is how the taste is felt. Okay, देखो how the taste is felt. It's a huge topic. In general, I will make you understand. ठीक है? First, whenever you are putting something in the mouth, after that you will start chewing. When you will start chewing, you will grind the food. इसके बाद क्या होता है, जो saliva होता है उसके साथ mix होगा. once the saliva is getting mixed with it, okay, at that time what will happen, it will spread in the various part of the oral cavity. Now जहाँ पे circumvallate papillae है, तो I have shown you the circumvallate papillae, the structure, उसका जो sulcus है, okay, और जो lateral wall है उसमें क्या रहता है, taste buds रहता है. तो those particular food which is mixed with the saliva, they will come and they will go through the gustatory pore into the cavity, gustatory cavity. Once it reaches the gustatory cavity, what will happen, a action potential will be generated. Where it will be generated? In the neuroepithelial cell or the receptor cells, and that action potential is carried by the nerve fibers. Okay. Then a taste pathway is there. Through the taste pathway it will go to the taste center in the brain, and then we are feeling the taste. Okay. Now in detail you have to know from which part of the tongue which particular nerve is carrying, how the taste pathway is traveling, okay, from which part of the central nervous system it is going, and in which area of the cerebral cortex it is present. Okay. That will complete the taste pathway. Now the chemicals stimulate the receptor cells and generate signals for sweet, sour, salty, bitter and delicious taste. Okay. Now there are different areas of the tongue from which different tastes are being carried. I hope you know that. Okay. So bitter, sweet and delicious taste activate the taste receptor. Sour and salty taste activates the ion channel. Tip of the tongue detects sweet taste. Posterolateral to the tip detect the salty taste, followed by the sour taste. So like this, different areas are for different types of taste sensation. And this circumvallate papillae detect bitter and delicious taste. Okay. So whatever we have discussed so far, what are the important points of identification for the slide of the tongue? First of all, we know that tongue is covered on both the surface by stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. Same like the lip, इसमें भी दोनों surface cover होगा. Which two surface? हाँ, dorsal surface and inferior surface. Okay, so both the surfaces are covered by this lining epithelium. Next, the ventral surface of the tongue is smooth, but on the dorsum the surface shows numerous projections or papillae, which we have discussed. Now and those papillae, the projection can be seen easily. ठीक है, easily दिखाई देता है. Now papillae कैसे form होता है? Core of connective tissue covered by lining epithelium. Each and every this one papilla, okay, the shape is different. That also I have shown you. Next, the main mass of the tongue is formed by the skeletal muscle. So in the beginning I have told you two different group of muscles are present in the tongue. It is intrinsic muscle and extrinsic muscle. Total 8 group of muscles are there. Okay, so the main mass is made up of skeletal muscles. Now the main mass of the tongue is formed by skeletal muscle. Below that the lamina propria is present. Okay. Now the muscle fibers run in various directions, so that some cut longitudinally and some are transversely. And in that lamina propria you can see serous and mucous gland along with the muscle fibers. Okay, that means जो main muscle mass होता है, along with that muscle mass we are getting the different serous gland and the mucous gland. Okay, as I said, mucous gland mainly कहाँ पे रहता है? Posterior 1/3 of the tongue, related to the lymphatic follicles. और जो serous gland होता है, that is related to the circumvallate papillae. Okay, and the function also we have discussed. Now here you can see the microscopic structure of tongue. ठीक है, so can anyone tell me which is the lining epithelium? Now before that let me show you another diagram. Wait. Okay, if you can see this particular diagram, okay, so see here also you can see stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. Here also you can see stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium. Okay, now what is the difference between this surface and this surface? This is the dorsum and this is the inferior surface. What is the difference? यहाँ पे देखो पेपिले दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है, ठीक है, लेकिन यहाँ पे देखो पेपिले दिखाई दे रहा है. Okay, that means this dorsum of the tongue, it is rough in nature and the inferior surface is smooth in nature. Okay, that's why papillae can be seen only on this particular area. Okay, next this is the central part where you can see core of skeletal muscle can be seen. Now if you concentrate over here, first of all you can see the circumvallate papillae. Ye circumvallate papillae hai. So this is one circumvallate papillae, this is another papillae. In between these two, I hope you can see, this is the sulcus, or also called as trench. Okay. Now on this particular area, these are nothing but the taste buds. Ye dekho, these are the taste buds. Ye dekho, these are the taste buds. Okay. Now what is the structure function of the taste buds? Already we have discussed. And this is the circumvallate papillae. तो इसका जो center है, this is made up of connective tissue, and this is the lining epithelium. Okay, so that is all about the tongue, microscopic structure of tongue. Okay, next the last part, that is the teeth, microscopic structure of teeth. Have you studied anything about the teeth, about the tooth, anything? Here also same thing, it's not that important. Okay, just yete ache, ei jonno diagram draw, ei jonno you have to study for that. Now in the teeth, these are mineralized bone-like structure projecting from the alveolar processes of the jaw. Okay, mineralized bone-like structure. Okay. Now where they are present? They are present in both the jaws, upper jaw and lower jaw. Lower jaw is formed by mandible, upper jaw is formed by maxilla. When you will study the facial skeleton, especially the mandible and maxilla, that time you will come to know that alveolar processes are there on both the bone. Okay, जो alveolar process है उसमें sockets होता है. In that socket the tooth are attached. Okay. Now these are the masticatory apparatus, okay, which helps in chewing, fixed in the jaws. Now the teeth are replaced only once, okay, in case of human being, but in case of other non-mammalian vertebrates, constantly they are replaced. Okay. So the first teeth, which comes also called as milk teeth or deciduous teeth, and when comes after milk teeth, the next teeth which erupts, that is called as permanent teeth. Okay. So deciduous teeth total 20 in number, okay, and the permanent teeth is 32 in number. So how the 20 number is justified? As you can see, in each jaw we are having, each half of the jaw there are 2 incisor, 1 canine and 2 molars in each half. So this side 4, this side 4. Okay, so 5 this side and above and lower, like this 4 into 5, 20. The permanent 32 in number and consists of 2 incisor, 1 canine, 2 premolar and 3 molars on each half of the jaw. Like this we are getting the 32 permanent teeth, and deciduous teeth it is 20. Here you can see the diagram. Okay, so in the diagram you can see in the alveolar process. So here you can see this is the alveolar process. Now these are the sockets. Each and every socket, as you can see, the tooth are attached. How it is attached I will show you. Okay, but this is how it is present. Now you can see these are the molars, then premolars, canine and incisor. Just we have to know this, not in detail. Now the parts of the tooth, that means in the oral cavity, whenever you are brushing your teeth every day, okay, जब हम लोग ब्रश करते हैं every day, whatever we see, ये जो particular part है teeth का, ये complete teeth नहीं है. I hope you know that. ठीक है, ये कौन सा part है? This is the crown. जो दिखाई देता है, this particular part, this is nothing but the crown. Okay, so as you can see, the tooth which I have shown you just now, इसका 3 part होता है. The crown part, which is visible in the oral cavity. Next the neck part and the root part. Root part is the attached part. Just now I have shown you the sockets of the alveolar process where the tooth are attached. Okay, so that is the root part. Now this particular part are covered by gum. Okay, and a important structure is present that is called as periodontal ligament. Okay. In between the crown and the root, the junctional part is called as the neck. Okay. Next, this is the main important part. Now if you concentrate over here, okay, so this you have to write in your practical notebook. Okay. So if you see the structure of tooth, first of all enamel is present. Now enamel कहाँ पे रहता है? Any idea? The crown which we see, crown वाला part which we see, that is covered by the enamel, which is the hardest material of our body. Okay, what is present? We will discuss. Next is the dentine part, inner to that. Okay, matlab you can say inside to the enamel, the a part which is present having bone like properties, that is the dentine. Okay, next we are having the cementum. Cementum कहाँ पे रहता है? Any idea? जो attach part होता है of the tooth, जहाँ पे attach रहता है along with the alveolar socket, that particular part you are getting the cementum. Okay, and in between the tooth a small cavity is present, it is called as pulp space or pulp cavity. Okay, and इसका एक apical foramen होता है through which blood vessels nerve enter the tooth and then it is supplied. Okay, because it is a bone like structure, it also need blood supply. So from where the blood supply, nerve supply will enter? From that apical foramen. Now in each and every part you can see different types of cells are present. For example, here you can see the amyloblast cells are present which will lay down the enamel. In case of dentine we are getting the odontoblast, and here we are getting the cementoblast. These are the important types of cells which lay down, or you can say which helps in the formation of these particular parts of the tooth. Now everyone you are aware of this particular diagram. Okay, तो ये जो particular part है which is shown in blue color, okay, that is the crown part, and you can see crown part is covered by enamel, the hardest material. Next deep to that ये जो lines दिखाई दे रहा है, can you see those lines? Now this is the dentine. Okay, this is the dentine. Next on the lower aspect, so see this is the socket, alveolar socket. In that alveolar socket you can see the tooth is attached. Okay, तो जहाँ पे attached रहता है, as you can see this particular part is covered by cementum. ये देखो ये जो black color में show किया, this is the cementum. Okay, and for the attachment a special type of dense fibrous tissue is present, that is nothing but the periodontal ligament. ये देखो ये dense fibrous tissue, this is the periodontal ligament. Okay, and in between that you can see the pulp cavity or pulp space is present, and this is the apical foramen. तो यहाँ से blood vessels, nerves will enter, okay, into the pulp cavity, and then it will supply the various part of the tooth. Now in the microscopic structure, tooth consists of upper part. Tooth consists of upper part, that is called the crown. Okay, which is seen in the mouth. After opening the mouth you can see the part that is the crown. Okay, and then one or more roots. Some tooth is having one root, some tooth are having two roots also. Depending on the tooth, the roots, the arrangement of the roots are different. Okay. Now these are embedded in the sockets, okay, in the jawbone, that is mandible and maxilla. Now it composed of calcified tissue, that is enamel, dentine and pulp. Now the greater part of the tooth is formed by bone like material, that is called dentine, greater part, most of the part. Okay, within that a cavity is there, that is called pulp canal or pulp cavity. Okay, तो इसमें क्या रहता है, blood vessels, nerve enter the pulp canal through the apical foramen, which is located at the apex. Now at the region of the crown, the dentine is covered by much harder white material, that is called enamel. And cementum, where it is present at the root, the dentine is covered by a thin layer of cementum. Okay, and this thin layer of cementum helps in attachment of the root with the alveolar socket. Now the cementum is united to the wall of the bony socket of the jaw by a fibrous tissue, layer of fibrous tissue, that is called as periodontal ligament. Okay, unless and until the periodontal ligament is torn off, means if you don't tear it or if you don't cut it, you will unable to take out the teeth from the alveolar socket. Okay, alveolar process में जो sockets रहता है, ठीक है, तो suppose this is the tooth. Okay, ये alveolar socket के अंदर है, तो from this side and this side, both the side, the fibers of periodontal ligament will attach the root of the teeth. Unless and until you cut those attachment, you cannot take out it. Okay, or you have to tear it in order to take out the tooth from the alveolar socket. Okay, Now here you can see the longitudinal section of the tooth. So this is the diagram which you have to draw in your practical notebook from the tooth chapter. Only this diagram you have to draw. Okay. So here you can see the enamel. Along with that you can see various lines. Okay. Lines of Ritzius, lines of Shergarkar, lines of Shergar and lines of Ritzius. Okay. Then this is the dentine. In dentine, you can see the various lines which are present. Actually, the tubules are there. Okay, and then here you can see the pulp cavity. Okay, and this is the root canal, and this is the apical foramen through which the blood vessels will enter the pulp cavity. Okay, so in case of tooth, do you remember last time when we have discussed about the bone, microscopic structure of bone? उसका दो सेक्शन मैंने बोला था. What are those? No. One is decalcified, another one is grounded. Okay, one is grounded, another one is decalcified. So same thing will occur in case of this one tooth also, because it is same material which are present in the bone. तो इसका जो सेक्शन फॉर्म होगा either it will be grounded or it will be decalcified. Okay, so in order to decalcify it you have to remove the calcium part. Okay, for that it is dissolved in a strong acid and then the slide is prepared. Okay, grounded में decalcification is not done, calcium are present. Okay, so I am not going into all those things, just simple this diagram will be enough for the microscopic structure of tooth. Okay, so that is all about the tooth. So today we have covered 3 topics, and as I said, among them the most important one was the tongue. Okay, first we have discussed about the lip, then about the tongue, and then about the tooth. ठीक है, thank you.